Hi and hello. My name's Kawaii-Pigeon, and today I'd like to talk about the ethics of betting monsters and why it really doesn't matter. So, ethical monster smashing. Commonly, most monster enthusiasts use the Harkness test, popularized by Jack Harkness, a character from Torchwood and side properties of Doctor Who, which admittedly I've never bothered to watch. Supposedly, it came from the character's frequent liaisons with other species and wanting to have a baseline for what is and isn't acceptable to bed. Those criteria being A. Does this character have human intelligence or greater? And B. Can it talk or otherwise communicate in verbal language? And finally C. Is it of smashing maturity for its species? If you answer yes to all three of the If you answer yes to all three, then by the Harkness scale, the character you want to smash is ethically smashable. But that comes with its own problems. Considering a large part of our population can't pass the Harkness test depending on how you qualify it, and also arguably real-world animals would pass it depending again on how you would go about it. The first rule of the test asks the question, does this creature have human-level intelligence or greater? Measuring human intelligence is in itself a bit biased. As one man said, you do not judge a fish's worth by judging how well it can climb a tree. But for humanoids, the IQ test is a common metric of measuring intelligence, a mixture of questions designed to test someone's language skills, problem solving, arithmetic skills, and memory retention. Skills we can test humans with ease, but what about other fictional species? As far as humans go, the site Healthline states that the average, that is, 86% of the population, has an IQ anywhere from 85 to 115. As for the United States, the average is around 98, which I was expecting to be much lower. No shade to my fellow Americans. Below average is at around 70, with only a small part of the population falling under this umbrella. However, what does this IQ number mean? Basically, that one with a score of 70 is mentally disabled, with the severity increasing as your number decreases. As such, those individuals do not pass the Harkness test. Not necessarily a bad thing, as those people would need something or someone to protect themselves. They, however, are still human, and humans have the natural right for self-determination. At what point is consent allowed? Surely, an IQ score doesn't automatically fail or pass you in being able to consent to smashing. Disability rights organizations seem to agree. Those who are intellectually disabled still possess the right to consent to medical procedures and other adult things. That is to say, so long as their rights are not taken away by either well-meaning or malicious caregivers, they still have self-determination. So, with all of that, you can throw the first Harkness question out of the window. You don't need it. Or perhaps phrase it in, does this creature have sentience? Is it self-aware? Well, that's also not a great metric either, as the great apes, apart from humans, are also self-aware, and can anticipate the effects of their actions, though it's debatable if they can pass a mirror test, like crows, parrots, and dolphins can. Do you measure intelligence by the ability to create tools? Well, again, a sizable amount of animals can do that. Coconut octopi, such named as they use coconuts as mobile shelters from predators, are using tools. Octopi have even been recorded studying security guards, memorizing their routes, escaping their tanks, eating from other inhabitants' tanks, then going back to their original tank, all in the while remaining out of guards' eyesight. If you want to talk to them about consent, one could argue you are the one who isn't smart enough to say yes. So there's no satisfactory answer for that one. But what about the second rule? Can it talk or otherwise communicate in verbal language? Again, this question alienates a sizable chunk of the population if you want to get technical. 7.5 million people in the States struggle in some way with using their voice. Does that mean they don't pass the Harkness test? Well, no. They can communicate, just not verbally. Written language and sign language is a means for such individuals to communicate, even if you may not understand what somebody is signing. And when it comes to animals, again, you have some that can communicate in a manner much more sophisticated than humans. Parrots can mimic and understand words and then often utilize them. Dolphins and orcas have their own dialects depending on the regions they live, and elephants likewise can do the same. So really, language can also be thrown out by the Harkness test, which leaves the one question. C. Is the individual of smashing maturity for its species? This question is absolutely the worst depending on how you look at it. Do you go by mental maturity or physical maturity? Reproductive only? Even asking this question when it comes to humans will get you bad looks, rightly so, as we are a species that are very aggressive in defending young individuals from being predated on. So, how would you answer this by a human standard? The age at which a human can give birth with minimal complications at the youngest would be between your late 20s and 30s, as defined by healthline.org, with 20 being when fertility is at its highest for those who produce viable eggs. That actually surprises me, as I thought that was much younger. In any case, that also removes from when a human can produce viable seed. So if that's the case, a human would have to wait till say 25 in order to pass the smash test, which is also very unrealistic, and I pulled that number completely out of my tail. But considering a lot of people may hate the idea that teens will become active regardless of the legality of it, but what of other species? How would we measure maturity for them? Well, we can easily learn an animal's age by looking at its teeth, but that doesn't really say when it's able to breed. When we look at dogs, breeding on the first heat cycle can produce complications for the young, including sickly pups, mothers with aggressive issues, and the pups with aggressive issues. For everybody, it's not having a good time. So breeders will typically wait for the second or third heat cycle to begin breeding. If we switch that back to humans, the age ranges would be problematic, as our equivalent menstruation can begin as early as 9 years old. Clearly, I'm glad other people have done the hard work, but even in the states we judge it arbitrarily, and even then it's dumb. At 18, you're considered adult to go off to war, but not to buy beer. Why? Hell if I know. Unable to answer the last question, let's have a quick rehash about our topics with the Harkness test. Does this character have human intelligence or greater? Can it talk or otherwise communicate in verbal language? And is it of smashing maturity for its species? Really, these questions mean nothing if and when humans discover extraterrestrial life that isn't bacteria. We will probably be too busy killing the natives for the resources to worry about smashing them. Sad to say for my fellow alien enthusiasts. Likewise, in fiction, it truly doesn't matter anyway. Fiction is our playground, and we can do whatever we want with it. Who's to say the dinosaurs aren't super smart and able to smash? Or that the pretty blue totally alien and not human alien are actually smashable? Yes, I'm thinking of the Asari and all the Star Trek people that are just covered in paint. A one-size-fits-all metric when it comes to consent isn't all that possible, so don't let that stop you from exploring fiction. Fiction. And as for real life, stick to adult humans. Didn't think I'd have to say that, but, well, you know if you know. Thank you for listening, and if indeed you still are, and hopefully you'll be back next time. Thank you. Now to talk about the piece that I'm working on currently, the Gardevoir and my furry persona. I was planning on doing this piece for talking about Pokemon waifus, but I decided to work on the Harkness test first. And that's pretty much it. For Gardevoir, I believe she passes the Harkness test. In fact, I typically make anything I am attracted to pass the Harkness test, at least in my own head. So, just have fun. Have fun and don't hurt anybody. Don't hurt other people. Okay, goodbye.